YouTube link in it. That's probably already been. So retweet it. That's okay. I'll just do another tweet.
Okay, very good. You filled the seats. I appreciate it. Welcome to everyone to an amazing event on an amazing day. We're so very glad to see you here to celebrate an accomplishment not only for Valley Metro, the City of Phoenix, FTA, Department of Transportation, but our community and our country. It's these kind of investments that actually create opportunity, create jobs, create growth opportunities. And this is just the latest example of an ongoing investment that we in this community and the Department of Transportation and FTA, have joined together to partner in making these things happen. This is the latest of a system that is relatively young, starting 13 years ago, and yet in that time, it has changed our community, changed our communities. Running through the cities of Mesa, Tempe, and of course Phoenix, we have seen unprecedented development, unprecedented mobility, and unprecedented change for the good. And this is the latest. This 1.6 mile extension may seem short in the scheme of things. We have now about 28 miles of light rail, but this has a huge impact because of not only what it does, but where it is. It crosses what has been historically a boundary, you might say, from central Phoenix and East Valley into West Phoenix. It also comes on the doorstep of what I think is one of the most exciting and unique redevelopment and repurposing efforts in the entire country. This mall, which I know many of you like me, when I was in high school, was a gathering place, and is 1.3 million square feet, is now looking for a new life. This station behind us and the end of line and the connection that it provides will provide not only that new life, but a great new life. So we're here to celebrate that, and boy, were we excited when we we were really excited when FTA Administrator Nuria Fernandez told us, I'd like to come out for that. And when Department of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said, Mayor Secretary, I'm sorry, got to keep calling you that, Mayor Secretary, said, hey, I think I'd like to come too. We didn't say no. That tells you what a big deal it is. And this has been somewhat of an eventful week, has it not? Yeah. I'd like to say we scheduled our opening to what happened on Monday, but I think there's a little bit of coincidence, but we'll take that. No, I'm sure the Secretary will talk more about the great new commitment that the federal government has made to invest in our communities. I'd like to mention some of the people that are here to show you what a big deal it is. We are so grateful that we have not one secretary, but two secretaries with us. Of course, I've already introduced Mayor Secretary Pete Buttigieg. We also are so very grateful that we have one of our own, former Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Mary Peters. And I will tell you, I first met Mary when I was a mayor, and I went to meet Mary when we were doing the Central Mesa extension. So we really have both ends of the line here represented. We also, of course, have U.S. Senator Mark Kelly, FTA Administrator Nuria Fernandez. We have Region 9 Administrator Ray Tellis. We have also, I'd like to mention, Carla Petty from the Federal Highway Administration. Now you're wondering, why is the Highway Administration here? I want you to know that the FHWA has been great partners with us in FTA in advancing this multimodal. That's one of the great things that we've introduced. So Carla's been a big supporter. We have on the stage here Paul Skatellis, who is CEO of the American Public Transportation Association. We have my board chair and a city council member from my city, Councilmember Francisco Heredia, your mayor, and a former board member of Valley Metro, Mayor Kate Gallego. And, I'm sorry, Mr. Sandez, this is horrible that I forgot this. From the Carpenters Union, Fabian Sandez. Oh, big cheer. All right. We know Fabian is most popular is here. We also have from the Phoenix City Council, Councilmember Ann O'Brien, in whose district we reside. Councilmember Deborah Stark. We have, and I would be remiss if I didn't make a really big deal out of this this amazing person and woman, former council member and mayor, Delda Williams, who was instrumental as a member of the Valley Metro Board in making this happen, because this is in her backyard, and we are so very grateful for that. And we have other officials and representatives here also. If I missed an elected official, I am sorry. Oh wait, state legislators, I'm sorry. Judy Schreibert from the state legislature, and Sarah Liguri from the state legislature. Thank you for being here. And Shauna Bullock, I'm sorry, Shauna. I slipped over there and said, Shauna's here too. Representative Shauna Bullock also here. This would not be happening, as I said, without our partnership with the federal government. And I would like to, before I introduce Nuria Fernandez, also talk about those people who do the hard work. I would like anybody in the audience who works for Valley Metro or a contractor who was involved in the process to get us where we are. Either stand or raise your hand. You see, this really is a team project. And these men and women have been working tirelessly for literally 3-4 years on this grant. And they've done an amazing job. We also could not be here, and Secretary and Nuria, without the amazing help of our Region 9 FTA partners. Ray Tellis, Ariana, where are you, Ariana? Ariana Valle, who has just come here to Phoenix in Region 9, and Nuria, the staff under Matt Welvis at FTA headquarters, Secretary. They're amazing. You have an amazing team that works with. I will now turn it over to FTA Administrator Nuria Fernandez, who I've known for quite a while as a fellow CEO up in the Bay Area before she became FTA Administrator, a real champion of transit, an amazing, amazing leader. Nuria Fernandez.
Good morning, Phoenix. Thank you so much, Scott. And it's really a pleasure to be with all of you. Yes, it's been a great week for transportation and infrastructure, but I know that it's going to get better, because we know that transportation is all about opportunities. So I'm so delighted to be here with all of you today as we celebrate the award of the construction grant to the City of Phoenix and to Valley Metro for the Northwest Extension Light Rail Phase 2 project. So give yourselves a hand. It couldn't happen without you. I also also want to acknowledge Senator Mark Kelly, who is on our Senate Banking Committee, and that is the committee that has jurisdiction over transit. So he helps us make things happen. So thank you very much for your leadership, sir. And I am delighted that Secretary Buttigieg is with us here today. Because not only is he my boss, but he has been a champion. I started counting every time he uttered the word transit in his remarks. I ran out of fingers, I ran out of numbers. He has been truly talking and walking the talk. So we want to thank you, Mr. Secretary, because public transportation, as you all know, is really the underpinning of cities, and it helps communities and helps with economic growth. And he's going to be sharing a little bit about something you already know, but that we're all still celebrating, which is the bipartisan infrastructure law, and what it means for Arizona, and what it means for cities like Phoenix and Mesa and all the other cities that are going to benefit from this extension by connecting people who live out and bringing them in, and giving them the opportunities for jobs, for education, and also healthcare and any other services that would lift them up and rebuild and improve their quality of life. The messenger, the Secretary Buttigieg, knows a thing or two about transportation, of course, and safety. As you all may have seen those adorable photos of him holding his twins, and they were wearing these cute little costumes. It was all about safety. These were safety cones. So yeah, thank you. That was just absolutely adorable, because those traffic cones really are the recognition of what transportation is about. Safety is our number one, absolutely number one priority, our North Star. So I also want to acknowledge Mayor Kate Gallego. I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled when we could finally breathe that sigh of relief and knew that those transit dollars were safe, and that this project and other projects would happen. And we have so much to thank her for, a debt of gratitude for that. And also our Big Valley Metro Board Chair, Francisco Heredia, who is at the helm of this great organization, making decisions that are going to continue to improve access, that are going to continue to create jobs, and that are going to transform, and you'll be hearing that word many times. They're going to transform not only this area, but by its influence, everything around it. So by leveraging these dollars that we are bringing forth through the Capital Investment Grant Program, and connecting those to dollars that the city and the communities, the region, have pledged to this project and many other projects, you are really getting a bang for your buck, because it's going to be represented over the next year and many years to come. So I'm really gratified that I was able to sign that agreement, and I know it's being whisked off so that the city can sign it and we can get it in the books. This extension is really going to enable more people to enjoy safe, fast, frequent, and reliable public transportation, and it's an environmentally friendly project. So people can make decisions about how they move, and they make those decisions in the context of climate and the crises that we're facing, and recognizing that there's more than one way to move, but you don't always have to rely on the sole vehicle. You can look at the myriad of opportunities, and what this light rail project does, and the building of complete streets, and the introduction of sidewalks and curb cuts and things. That means that it brings opportunities to everyone. It's really an equalizer. And this connection is going to tie people to downtown, to Arizona State University, and also to the Sky Harbor International Airport. So you have high activity centers where there's job generation. The economic development of the communities that are surrounding along this alignment is going to increase exponentially. And this is the type of projects. President Biden made a promise, and he delivered. He made a promise that he was going to have an infrastructure bill this year, and that bill will be the underpinning, the backbone of development throughout communities across America. So we are very grateful to the president. We're grateful to the members of Congress for their support, and certainly to Secretary Buttigieg for leading this charge at the Department of Transportation. I now have the distinct pleasure to introduce my boss, Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who, as mayor of the city of South Bend, Indiana, and now secretary of the Department of Transportation, not only brings his experience, his skills, his connection, but also that human element to infrastructure. Because infrastructure is not just about concrete, asphalt, and steel. It's about people. And everything we do is for the benefit of people. Mr. Secretary, the podium is yours.
Good morning. And thank you so much, Administrator Fernandez. So proud to work with you. And the way you framed it is just right. This is about people. When you make the approach into Sky Harbor, you cannot help but think about the people driving the cars that you see, the people going to work in the warehouses there, the energy facilities, all of it coming together in one vision. And that's what we're trying to do with transportation policy as well. Anybody who steps on a bus or a subway or any piece of transit in the United States is fortunate to have an FTA full of superb career professionals and led by a fantastic colleague of mine who we're going to spare everybody the singing, but I think a round of applause for the fact that it's also her birthday this week, and we're just so glad to be here. I want to thank Scott and Councilman Heredia for their leadership and stewardship of Valley Metro, which is so important and really exemplary. One of the reasons I'm here is so much of what goes on here is a good example to look at around the country. I'll have more to say about Senator Kelly in a moment, but I want to thank Senator Kelly for his leadership at home and in the Senate. And in particular, of course, you and your colleague, Senator Sinema, helping to pass a once-in-a-generation infrastructure investment that is going to transform life for the better across America. So thank you. I heard from Representative Stanton, who wanted to be here, but as you may have heard, the House was working, I don't know if it counts as late or early, what hour they were working into, but I know he would be here if he could. But he's helping us get Build Back Better over the finish line, and that's very good news as well. I want to thank my friend Mayor Gallego for her leadership and for everything that she has done to guide just an enormous level of growth and progress in this city. And there's still, it still honors me when people out of habit call me Mayor Pete, because it really is the most demanding and rewarding job of all. So thanks for everything you do. So glad to have labor leadership here, to have leadership from the community of public transit around the country here, and delighted to be joined by my predecessor, Secretary Peters. Thank you for joining us and for your national leadership. By way of preliminaries, the last thing I want to do is just ask you to pardon my manners. I'll have to step away almost immediately after speaking. It is just one of those days with a lot going on, but it's a lot of really good stuff going on. But I couldn't miss the chance to be here. You know, we were here just a few months ago for Light Rail's South Central expansion that we're proud to be helping to fund. And now we're here to support another crucial project that's going to make life easier and create good jobs with the Northwest extension of Light Rail. And what we see is a community identifying transportation needs, developing smart solutions, standing up for its values, and investing local dollars in these projects. And now, with the largest investment in transit in history, the federal government is better positioned than ever to support with national resources. Now, Phoenix is a region that has gone through such remarkable movement and growth, and we're proud in the Biden-Harris administration to be your partner in that. As the administrator laid out, the Northwest extension of Light Rail reflects so many of the values that matter to this administration and this community. Equity, because communities will now have better and more affordable access to jobs, healthcare, services, downtown, and everywhere that Valley Metro reaches. And I want to point out the money saved on gas is money that you can spend on other things that your family needs and wants, and that is part of the virtue of public transit. Represents jobs. I don't think anything would warm the president's heart more when he sees the images of this gathering than the number of safety vests and hard hats that are here. Thank you for powering our infrastructure growth, and we are proud to stand with you in creating these jobs. And climate. It doesn't have to be in a climate title to be climate policy. And one of the most important things in the recent legislation and in the work you've been doing all along is recognizing that more people on transit means cleaner air for everybody. And it even makes life better for the people who are in the cars because it reduces congestion, of course, on our roads. And the one definitely non-renewable resource in our daily lives that I've been thinking about a lot is time. Thinking about it a lot partly because having newborns kind of changes your perspective on your relationship to time, namely not having it. But projects like this help people save more of their precious time. In fact, I talked to a parent who shared how the length of her commute made it harder to be the parent she wanted to be for her kids. Something I've been thinking about a lot. So when we reduce congestion, when we create a new rail line, it's a classic example of something no individual could do on their own, but every individual can benefit from, and that's the basic role of government, to do the things that we can only do when we do them together. And this week is such a great time to look to that role of government. Not about good, big government or small government, but good government. Because the bipartisan infrastructure law that President Biden signed Monday, that Senator Kelly and so many others have helped us to deliver, provides the most transformational investment in infrastructure in generations. Our public transit, our rail, our ports that are getting a little more attention, finally, that they deserve. Airports, roads, bridges, and we have the resources to do that. Arizona alone, if you just look at the math and the formulas, Arizona alone can expect at a minimum to get $5 million for improving roadways, $884 million for public transportation, over $75 million for electric vehicle chargers, almost $350 million for airport improvements. And that's just the beginning. Cities and states are eligible to compete for billions more in competitive grant programs. And it's not just transportation. This bill will provide hundreds of millions of dollars to protect Arizona's water supply, expand broadband, and reduce the cost that families pay to keep their homes cool. Last thing I want to reflect on is that while so much of what we're recognizing today is the leadership of policymakers who made this possible, maybe the biggest hero in this story is the people of the Phoenix Metro. Because the people were presented with a choice not that long ago about whether transit mattered or not, whether it was worth bringing shared resources to get shared results or not. And the people acted, the people spoke, the people said, yes, this is worth having. So I love the fact that this is not Washington coming in to tell the people of Phoenix what they need. This is us recognizing and supporting a priority that has been lifted up by the communities that will benefit the most. And it is people, of course, whose lives will benefit from these decisions. How many people would be in a better position to re-enter the job market if they just knew they had that single seat ride to work instead of having to go from bus to bus to bus? Or if they could afford childcare and get back to work. How many people have been dodging potholes with their blood pressure going up when they're on a road that needs work because they're one unplanned for auto repair bill away from a financial mess and can breathe a little easier when the roads are repaired and improved? How many people would benefit from saving money to fuel their car by getting on transit or being able to afford an electric vehicle and never having to worry about gas prices again? This is the promise of the bipartisan infrastructure law the president just signed and the Build Back Better Act that the House just passed, improving things for everyone in everyday life. So I want to thank again Senator Kelly, all of the Arizona elected officials who helped get this bipartisan infrastructure law over the finish line. And I want to thank everybody here because transportation is not always considered the most exciting or glamorous or sexy subject, and yet I can tell how passionate the folks are here about the improvements in everyday life and the all-important, good-paying jobs that this is going to create. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn it over to somebody who I get to see often. We're actually wound up on the same flight in this morning at an ungodly hour. Somebody who stays when he's in Washington close to where I live, so he's also a neighbor. And I want you to know that he is relentless anytime I see him, even if I'm just walking the dog, in making sure I know about the priorities of the people here in Arizona that he serves. He is a credit to the country with the work that he has done and his record of service. And he is somebody who I know is living and breathing so many of the priorities here in Arizona. So I want to thank the Senator for arranging today's weather and for everything that he's doing to lead in Washington. Your Senator, Mark Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you for the introduction. You know, with all the work we dumped on your desk here, you're going to have the biggest job of any Secretary of Transportation, I think, in decades, if not ever. So I'm glad you still appreciate that, and thank you for the intro. And good morning, everybody. Happy Infrastructure Week, but for real this time. And it's great to finish it off here in Arizona. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate seeing all the folks out here, especially the folks that are going to be doing all of this work over the next several decades. So happy to be here with Secretary Buttigieg. Yes, we were on the same flight this morning at 6-something a.m., sitting in the same row on a good to see people traveling again. The flight was pretty much at capacity. Folks coming to Arizona for this great weather, maybe coming down to Tucson for the Tour de Tucson, which is tomorrow. But it's also great to be here with Administrator Fernandez, Valley Metro CEO Scott Smith, and Mayor Gallego. Each of you have been key partners during the work to get this historic bipartisan infrastructure bill across the finish line. So thank you for all the hard work. And now, we're here together celebrating this incredible accomplishment for all Arizonans, from here in Phoenix to Lake Havasu City to where I was last week, which was in both Yuma and on the Navajo Nation. Folks in every corner of our state are going to benefit from this law. That is clear. As part of the bipartisan group of senators evenly split between Democrats and Republicans, I worked for months on getting this bipartisan infrastructure bill across the finish line. And I took what I heard here in Arizona from the leaders that are here today on this stage and in the audience, leaders around the state, to make sure that our state's priorities were met, and they were. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, it's going to upgrade our roads and bridges and ports of entry, improve our water infrastructure, which we really need. We've been in a drought for 20 years, and it's just not going to go away. I mean, we've got to come up with engineering solutions to get us through this problem. But this bill is also going to expand high-speed internet access. And most importantly, it is going to put Arizonans to work in good-paying jobs. Yeah. An extension of light rail through Phoenix here at the old Metro Center Mall is a prime example of something that I think of in terms of jobs. A lot of good-paying jobs. Studies on this extension have shown that the construction of this light rail connection will serve thousands of daily riders, opening up opportunities for folks to access education and good-paying jobs. And that's how we continue to make the Valley a great place to live and to work. And like the other infrastructure projects we will see in our state, it's going to put folks back to work. It's going to help us get through this pandemic. It's going to help get students to colleges and universities. It's going to help when folks hop on an airline flight to come here to Arizona, because we know this is the best place to be. So thank you for everybody again for being out here. Like Secretary Buttigieg, I'm going to have to